Pretty soon after I started creating my Conlang, I realized that I needed some way to derive new words from existing words. Natural languages often have lots and lots of affixes that get used for that, and all those affixes accomplish all sorts of different tasks. But I ended up discovering that getting too married to a task you've assigned to a certain particular affix would not be the best idea. For example, let's take diminutives. English has diminutives. It's that thing where you take a word like dog and turn it into doggy, making a word that refers to a smaller or cuter version of something. But affixes do not come down from the heavens fully formed, they always evolve from ordinary existing words. And my Conlang had and still has this handy little word, ki. As a noun, it means small thing, speck, tiny shard, perfect for my purpose. The next thing to figure out was how this word would come into contact with other words. In my Conlang, if you want to modify a noun, you can place a verbified noun after it, and it will act as a modifier on the preceding noun. And so I decided that the imaginary native speakers of my Conlang started using that cute little word, ki, followed by a modifier, to refer to a smaller version of something larger. Taking a word like achla, which means river, verbifying it and placing it after ki to say a little thing that is a river, or less literally, a brook, a stream. Or taking messi, which means rain, verbifying it and placing it after ki to say a little thing that is rain, or less literally, light rain, a drizzle. And these noun plus modifier constructions featuring ki just ended up fusing together, complete with fossilized conjugations. And that little ki in the front had become a prefix, which one could use to form a diminutive version of any word. But going back to the definition of the original word, it's not only about smallness, it can also refer specifically to a tiny shard. And a shard is a small part of a larger whole, and so the ki plus modifier constructions were used to refer to those as well. For example, taking the word ede, which means house, verbifying it and placing it after ki to have the whole thing mean a room, because a room is a smaller piece of a larger whole that is a house. Such constructions fused into words of their own as well, with ki as their prefix. And if ki as a prefix can be used to talk of a smaller part of a larger whole, then it also makes sense to use it when talking about an individual member of a larger group of many such individual members. For example, taking the word hokki, which refers to woven fabric, and using it with the ki prefix to mean weaving thread, because a piece of fabric is really just a collection of many such individual threads. And this can be further extended into the more nebulous realm by taking a word like sewe, which means to be kind, and using the ki prefix to form the word kisehwa, which refers to an individual act of kindness, rather than to being kind in general. And when you think about it, an event such as the dog wants food is also a larger whole, with the one holding the desire and the desired thing as the individual participants of the event. So it makes sense to use ki to form a word for referring to one of the participants, and since the original word is inanimate, using the ki prefix to refer to the object of the sentence makes the most sense. And so now there's the word ki achwa, which means a desire, wish, hope, and which was derived from the word awe, which means to want. So the same prefix can be used to form diminutives, refer to a smaller part of a larger whole, refer to an individual member of a larger group, refer to a particular instance of an activity, and to refer to the object of a verb. And there's actually a bunch more, but the ones I've listed are the main ones. And by the way, that original word can be used as a modifier too, so now people can say things like ki achwa ki, doubling the amount of ki in the noun phrase, though the meaning is perfectly mundane, a small wish. The journey I've just recounted all began with me making an affix that would perform a certain particular task, but I kept thinking back to the word which I evolved into that affix, and the resulting affix ended up being a pretty heavy lifter when compared to what I was setting out to create, which I'm pretty happy with. So the moral of the story is, Always remember the origins of every affix you have.